You know, in California, we have universal background checks. We have a universal background check for private sales, in which you have to do it through a local gun dealer. And even with all of that burden, you might argue, if that's what the Judiciary Chairman is arguing, 600,000 guns were purchased last year in the state of California.
I thank the gentlelady, and I believe that California's laws are far more sane than the laws of many other states, particularly the laws of my own state of Virginia. But the situation we have today is that over 40%, almost half, of the guns purchased in this country don't have to go through a background check. 6.6 million firearm sales occurred at gun shows and through private arrangements that didn't have to go through a background check. That's not even fair to the retail purchase sellers who have to require the background check and comply with the law. It's almost as though you had two lines at an airport, two security lines. One where you're going to have to stand and have the machine go around and check for metal and so on, and then another line that you can just walk through without being. So which line would criminals choose?
And how is that equal protection under the law?
It just doesn't seem to make sense. And this is a democracy. It would seem that we have some responsibility, regardless of our own views, to be responsive to the overwhelming opinion of the American people. I'd like to share with my dear friend and colleague another interesting fact, and that is that auto deaths fell to 32,000, and deaths from firearms, including suicides and accidents, are over 30,000. So they're roughly the same. By 2015, the Centers for Disease Control estimates that there will be significantly more deaths from firearms than deaths from motor vehicles. It's already occurred in Virginia. We had 875 firearm deaths in the last year reported, compared to 728 motor vehicle deaths. Now, with regard to motor vehicles, we've taken proactive action. We've acted proactively in the form of seatbelt laws, improved safety standard for the manufacturers for the vehicles that are made in this country and other countries, and vehicles that are sold in this country, harsher penalties for drunk driving, mandatory driver training classes, and they've worked, and they've saved lives. Why can't we do it with firearms? It seems wholly consistent with the appropriate way, the way that the American people want us to respond to a problem. So, and this is more than a problem. This is an extraordinary situation that demands action by this body. So I would hope that, regardless of the views of the chair of the Judiciary Committee, or even of many of the members, some of whom have an A rating from the NRA, that we would be responsive to the overwhelming majority of the American people and even of NRA members, and act responsibly. In Virginia, we're one of the 3 states that are the principal source for trafficking of guns. Florida and Georgia are the other 2. People go in and oftentimes with straw purchases, and they buy large quantities of guns. They put them in the trunk of their car. They drive to the street corner in an urban area, and they sell them. And invariably, they wind up in criminal activity, oftentimes causing the deaths of people, many innocent people, such as you observed earlier, Mrs. Speier. So I want to thank the Congresswoman. She's a leader on this fight. It's a terribly important battle. We can't let it go time is not on our side. Time is on the side of the NRA, and that's why invariably they have prevailed previously. We can't let that happen today. We can't let that happen now. The American people deserve more, and certainly the families of those very young victims at Newtown, Connecticut, deserve action on our part. And I thank you. I thank the gentlelady from California. You're a wonderful leader. Thank you for your courage and your leadership. Thank you.
I thank the gentleman from Virginia for his articulate commentary about this issue. You know, the time has come for us to stop quaking in our boots because the NRA leadership has spoken. You know, I've spoken to a number of my Republican colleagues over the last few weeks, and they are without any kind of rational reason for why they can't support one thing or another. Their beliefs have become so molded by what the leadership says of the NRA. Now, the NRA leadership isn't reflecting the NRA membership, and that's what we've got to remember. The NRA membership supports universal background checks. Let me share with you what Wayne LaPierre recently said, actually in a speech over the weekend, to continue to promote what I would call paranoia and fear-mongering. He was talking about universal background checks, and he said, and I quote, "It's aimed at registering your guns, and when another tragic opportunity presents itself, that registry will be used to confiscate your guns." The American people know that that's not true. A tragic opportunity, that's what he calls that horrific incident in Newtown, Connecticut. Opportunity? He has lost all sense of reality. We owe it to every American to do something rational around gun violence prevention. And I am not going to stand here and be cowed by NRA to not do what's right. And oh yes, I've already gotten plenty of threatening Facebook pronouncements. I don't care. I owe it to Noah Poizner. I know I owe it to little Isaac. I owe it to Gabby Giffords. I owe it to 32 Americans every day who get killed because of gun violence.